Mr. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in 2020, over 7,000 people were killed and injured by explosive ordnance, with 62% of recorded casualties caused by mines. Armed conflict, contamination by anti-personnel mines, and the growing use of improvised mines continue to claim the lives of innocent people. Risk education is a crucial intervention that can provide life-saving advice to people living in contaminated areas, and for those displaced and forced to flee to unfamiliar areas that may also be contaminated. In the past 2 years, we have seen significant progress. The Explosive Ordnance Risk Education Advisory Group has raised the profile of risk education and strengthened its delivery. State parties agreed a dedicated section and 5 action points in the Oslo Action Plan to this important pillar of mine action. And the Dutch presidency championed capacity building, innovation, and inclusivity, all of which are vitally important to the implementation of effective and targeted risk education. As the latest Landmine Monitor reports, in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic brought unique and uncharted challenges to which state parties, risk education operators, and affected communities responded with innovation and dedication. Messages were delivered through social media, digital messaging apps, and physically distanced sessions, and in schools risk education sessions went online. Networks of trained community volunteers continued to deliver safety messages when risk education teams were unable to visit. While noting these many achievements, we also recognise that there is still more to be done. The innovation and developments in risk education have not always been reflected in Article 7 transparency reports. And, in line with Action 32 of the Oslo Action Plan, we urge state parties to improve their reporting on mine risk education, including providing data disaggregated by gender, age, and where possible, disability. Action 24 of the Oslo Action Plan requires state parties to provide detailed, costed, and multi-year plans for context-specific mine risk education in extension requests. In 2021, none of the state parties submitting extension requests provided detailed forward planning and budgets for risk education. We urge state parties to address this going forward. We request that donors continue to support risk education and ensure that appropriate funding is made available and that funds for risk education are disaggregated from funds for clearance. Finally, we also support the suggestion of the Explosive Ordnance Risk Education Advisory Group that risk education is elevated to a standalone agenda item in the Convention's programme of work to allow state parties to report adequately on actions 28 to 32 of the Oslo Action Plan. In closing, we urge all affected states, donors, and other stakeholders to increase efforts to meet the obligations set out in the treaty, to fulfil its promise to keep affected people safe, and to achieve the goal of a landmine-free world. Thank you.